Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have a new set of crazy stories about crazy people for you to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Just wait until 12:30 to clock me out. I work in fast food. I'm a manager, and I almost always work the closing shift. We close at midnight, which means the shift ends at 1 a.m. Closing is usually ridiculously understaffed, so often we aren't actually out of the building until 1:30 or 2 a.m. Sometimes, however, everything works out well and we have the rare chance to get out early. In those cases, our boss gets very unhappy if we leave any earlier than 12:30. Last night was the second kind of night. I had another manager closing with me, although I was the one in charge, and two other closers besides. We were fairly slow, and by 10:30 we were looking for things to do to keep busy. Once we'd closed, all that was left to do was the bare minimum. I had to count the last drawer, balance the safe, and process the close on the computer. Other manager, OM, only had to clean the last grill. He finished as I was starting to process the close. OM walked over to the time clock. That's when he realized it was before 12:30. He stopped for a second. "Is it cool if I leave now?" I shrugged. "Fine with me, you finished your job." He glanced at the time clock. "Do you want me to clock everyone out so they see we all leave together?" "Nope, the rest of us aren't done yet. I'll clock everyone out when we leave. You can just clock out now and head out." I was annoyed. "How much longer will you be?" "Maybe 10 minutes, if that." "Oh well, that works. We aren't really supposed to leave before 12:30. So stay. You can start pulling the breakfast food into the kitchen for the morning staff." "No, that's okay. Wait until 12:30 to clock me out." He left quickly, presumably before I could refuse. So I did exactly as he asked. I finished my work, helped the other closers finish, and started setting up for the morning. And when the clock struck 12:30, I manually clocked him out for 12:18, the time he actually left. And our next story. Spread false rumors about me that cost me a promotion? I will destroy his career. Let's call the person in question Tom, and the supporting cast of a-holes, Mary and Tony. I started working here in 2015. It's a hard job, and the camaraderie of the team made it easier to handle. Tom, Mary, Tony, and I became fast friends as we worked so closely together during this very emotionally and physically draining work. We would celebrate birthdays together, plan trips together, help each other move, have dinner at each other's home, confide in each other, etc. After a year, we were all getting restless and were becoming a bit sour due to the lack of upward mobility. A management position finally opened up, and Tony and I applied for it. In the application process, Tom kept trying to dissuade me from pursuing the position, saying I will be bored with it soon and it wouldn't be a good fit for me. I told him thanks for the advice, but I'm capable of making my own decisions for my career. This was strange, since he himself was not applying for it, but for some reason didn't want me to have it. First red flag, this guy is on some other ish. I'm a couple years older than the others, so I have more experience in the work, including a long history of managing staff and leading projects, something Tony did not have. After 3 interviews, I beat out Tony and was the new manager. I was also the first of my team to be promoted after months of all of us complaining. Before I even began the new position, Tom told me that some of the people on the team that I'll be supervising were mad that I was going to be their new supervisor. He refused to give me any names. What the F? I haven't even started, and they barely know me, I thought to myself. Regardless, I started the position, introduced myself to the team, and did not let this impact my relationship with my staff. I take being a good supervisor very seriously, and I wasn't going to let that stop me. I promise this will be relevant later. About a month goes by and my former supervisor, the head of my old team, resigns. Senior leadership is scrambling for a replacement and doesn't have much of a clue what to look for. As my former supervisor left, he told everybody what a shame it was that I was given this other management position because I would have been the perfect replacement. Next thing you know, I get sat down by the senior director and our chief of staff. They essentially tell me that they want to take my current role and combine it with the role of my former supervisor, give me a director title, and a hell of a lot more money. As flattered as I was, I felt a bit guilty at this management position can go from one of my colleagues who desperately wanted a promotion. I also wasn't sure I wanted to do that job, as I've done it in the past, and my current role was something new and challenging. Finally, I know enough that doing both roles at the same time would be impossible, and I didn't want to be hated and suck at my job. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I couldn't live with myself if I was bad at it. For these reasons, I was gearing towards turning it down. I made a terrible mistake in confiding in Tom and Mary about this, including the part where I was leaning towards not accepting it. Mary became very upset, exclaimed that the position should go to Tony, and it's not fair because I already got a promotion. I told her I didn't want the promotion anyway, but they were probably going to hire some outsider because, to be frank, Tony didn't have any of the management or supervising experience they're looking for. She became irate, saying how unfair that was and how he deserves the position because he was rejected for the other role I got. That's not exactly how promotions work, but okay. It got personal when she said she wouldn't want to be managed by me anyway. I asked her why and just gave me a word salad of an answer. I asked again, adding that wouldn't it be better to be managed by someone who knows this work inside and out, cares about this team, than some outsider who could be complete crap and indifferent to our work? She said no. Anyone but me. No reason. Just not me. And that was the end of our friendship. A few days later, the offer was rescinded with no explanation. I found it rather strange and shady, but whatever. Then I started getting the cold shoulder from not just Tom, but from Tony and Mary too. I found my texts getting ignored, my calls screened, and no longer getting invitations to hang out. I started to suspect that Tom had said some crap to poison these people against me, but why would he do that? That's crazy, right? By this time, a new colleague had joined the team who I got on with. Let's call him Andy. Andy was also becoming close with the dastardly trio, in particular Mary. All of my suspicions were finally realized this one evening. Andy and I were drinking at a bar late one Friday night. We were laughing, having a good time, when he changed his mood suddenly to tell me he had something very difficult to say. He unloads everything. That Tom had been telling everyone on my former team that I was going to be their new supervisor, that I purposely screwed Tony over twice, and told them all my current staff hates me because I'm a terrible boss, and fear-mongered the crap out of everyone. Hence the rescinded offer. Mary, who Andy had a crush on, knew how he felt about her and tried to use that to turn him against me, which failed, and he told me as much. Andy said that he felt like the way Tom, Mary, and Tony were portraying me to others, and the person he himself knew me to be, was so mismatched, he decided to investigate these claims for himself, and found out that my staff really respected me and enjoyed working for me. Everything Tom was espousing couldn't be further away from the truth. Tom, from the moment I was offered my initial promotion, calculated this entire rumor from the beginning to undermine me and added fuel to it when I was offered the second promotion, successfully turning Tony and Mary against me, successfully costing me a promotion I was going to turn down anyway, all out of sheer spite and jealousy. I was heartbroken, not so much about the promotion, but more about that it was so easy to turn these people I once called friends against me. And for what? Absolutely nothing aside from nonsense espoused by some jealous jerk. From this moment, I vowed to make sure that he will never get the promotion he so desperately wants. Two can play at this game, except what I had against him was very much true. I made Andy promise not to tell anyone we had this conversation, and he obliged. Tom was completely unaware that I knew what he'd done and still thought we were friends. So anytime we would speak, I would indulge his indignation and egg on his frustration. It was a lot of, "Really, man? They have you doing what? I'd be insulted if I were you. You need to push back, man. Not cool." Fed his ego constantly. "Dude, you're so much better than this. Why are you letting them do this to you? You're too smart for this." And boy, did he. He soon started becoming that annoying dude who complains all the time. Soon, people were getting sick of his whining and advised him to just quit already. By this point, I had several loyal allies that were close to him and would unknowingly report back to me any terrible crap he would say about senior management. I gathered all of this intel and sat patiently on it and waited for the right moment. Finally, another management position that I knew he would want became available, I took this as an opportunity to speak to our senior director about the concerns I was having regarding staff morale. She agreed with the concern, and we spoke on the phone on a Saturday, if I remember. I told her that I'm concerned that these negative attitudes will impact my team and wanted to brainstorm some ways we can address these problems. She asked me to describe to her what were these negative attitudes per se. Bingo. I told her there is a lack of trust in senior leadership and resentment due to the lack of upward mobility. I told her that this negativity is coming from a particular person and infecting the other junior staff members. Without having to say much more, she knew I was talking about Tom giving the attitude I've egged out of him in the past year. I proceeded to tell her in detail all the trash he says about her and the other senior staff members when he gets drunk. We spoke a bit more about how we can isolate his attitude and think of ways to highlight people with positive attitudes. He didn't get the promotion. A few months later, another position opened up, and I did the same song and dance. This time, I learned that he'd been bad-mouthing our work to outside partners, sat on that loaded weapon until the time was right, and let it slip in a meeting. He was scolded and again passed over for this promotion. I kept doing this until he eventually quit. I still see his punk butt everywhere. Mother effer even tried apologizing to me at one point, but it was too late. Damage had been done from both ends. I have no regrets, and if that makes me a vindictive person, so be it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.